communities in Nigeria, future-proofing against flooding by building on the water itself.
I think it's a time for us to actually shape the architectures of developing regions, and it's a period of opportunity. We have a responsibility to do that appropriately. I'm very keen on being part of that process.
I'm Matthew Chance in Moscow, and this is CNN.
Hello everyone and welcome to Amanpour. Here's what's coming up.
There will be severe consequences for Russia if they once again use force against Ukraine.
A message to Vladimir Putin from the NATO alliance. Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg joins me about the rising tensions in Ukraine and how to avert war. Then,
the two big engines of growth, US and China, are slowing down.
The global economy starts the year with a whimper. IMF chief Kristalina Georgieva tells me why she's downgrading prospects for growth. And finally free after more than 900 days in an Egyptian jail, activist Rami Shaath joins me on the conditions he faced and how the French president lobbied for his release. Plus,
anti-Semitism isn't really a Jewish problem, it's an American problem.
The Anti-Defamation League's Jonathan Greenblatt talks to Hari Srinivasan about the alarming spike in hateful acts against Jews and his new book, It Could Happen Here. Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Christiana Amanpour in New York. As fears of war reverberate around Europe, the NATO Secretary General tells me that diplomacy is not dead yet. But Jens Stoltenberg says that it is up to Putin to dial down the aggression. Tensions are still high on the Russia-Ukraine border. NATO forces are on high alert, and additional ships and fighter jets are being deployed to Eastern Europe. The Kremlin accuses Washington of escalating tensions by putting 8,500 US troops on standby. Jens Stoltenberg is working overtime to ensure Europe and the US are unified and strong. After speaking with President Biden last night, he joined me today from headquarters in Brussels. Secretary General Stoltenberg, welcome back to the program.
Thank you so much for having me, Christian.
So the Kremlin has said that the US troops on possible standby and deployment marks an escalation of tensions. What is your reaction to that, and what are those thousands of troops that the United States is talking about? What are they for?
They are part of the NATO response force, and the NATO response force is the force we have to deploy quickly if needed. And if something happens that requires a quick response from NATO, then we will deploy them. And I welcome the fact that also the US is now allocating or designating more troops for the NATO response force.
So, to the Kremlin saying that it's escalating tensions in an already tense situation, what is your response?
The problem now is not that NATO, in a modest and defensive way, is responding to the deterioration of the security situation we see in Europe. The problem is that Russia, over weeks and months, have built up significantly with tens of thousands of combat troops, with heavy equipment, with artillery, with battle tanks in and around Ukraine. And this military buildup continues. So we don't see any de-escalation from the Russian side. On the opposite, we see the opposite, even more forces Also now soon in Belarus, where there will be thousands of Russian troops and planes participating in an exercise together with Belarusian forces. This combined with very threatening rhetoric from the Russian side and a track record that they have used force against Ukraine before, of course, is of great concern. But our aim is to find a political solution, so therefore we have invited Russia for more meetings, for more dialogue, and we will soon also convey a written proposal for topics and issues that we can discuss together and try to find a way forward.
Okay, so that's interesting because the Kremlin, certainly Putin's spokesperson Peskov, has said they await a written statement from NATO. So what are you planning to tell them?
So first of all, we are now finalizing at NATO the proposals, the written document we will send to them later this week. We will do that in parallel with the United States because the United States received a draft treaty from Russia some weeks ago. At the same time, we received a similar one, and we will outline that we are ready to sit down, and we will go through that in the document, to sit down and discuss arms control, disarmament, transparency on military activities, risk reduction mechanisms, and other issues which are relevant for